Hey everyone, so today I am going to take you through BridalLive and give you some good understanding of how it all works and if maybe this might be a service that you want to use. Whether you are somebody that is opening up a bridal shop or somebody who maybe has a bridal shop and is interested in maybe switching different programs. Now, my wife and I actually utilize this service literally every single day, and it is very vital to being able to operate our business. And Bridal Live does some really incredible stuff, and I'm going to share that with you guys and kind of go over everything. And if by the end you guys decide that, hey, this is the service you want to use, or you've kind of already made up your mind and you wanted to go ahead and sign up, there is a referral link I will have in the show notes down below. This link will give you and I both a free month, so it helps us out, but it also helps you guys out to get a good understanding of how the service works. So what we're going to do is actually just kind of go over a couple of the basics. I'm also going to log into our account too, so you can kind of see some of like the real numbers and real things kind of going on with Bridal Live and how it all works out. Of course, we're going to blur out, personal information and, business information. So first and foremost, Bridal Live is a service that allows you to pretty much have everything under one roof. All your inventory, all your clients, all your employees, like everything you need is pretty much in there, and it does an amazing job. And that's what we're going to break down. So this video might be a little long, but I think if you are somebody that is interested in making sure your business runs smoothly, I think this is going to be really well worth it for you. So of course, some of the very key metrics here with Bridal Live, you can do scheduling, you can do event management, you can do point of sale, you can do inventory and ordering through some companies, depending on the brands. And then you could also do marketing, which we haven't honestly done a lot of. We've just done more of everything else here that's available. And so this is what's going to be really cool with Bridal Live. Again, we're going to go just on the basis of what they have on the website. I'm going to go into some detail and then show you guys the actual stuff that we personally have. So taking appointments online is unbelievably amazing. Like, my wife will put on ads online through Google or on Instagram, Facebook, and then we start getting people with that link to the actual sign up for them to be able to put an appointment online. So sometimes we get appointments the times we're closed, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes while we're at work we can get appointments booked. So that first and foremost is an amazing tool. I think the smart book feature is such a great tool. It allows us to make sure that we don't double book by accident, or there's people that are not booking online at the same time frame, even if one of them is already booked up. So they do a really good job with that. They also do a really great job with the overall customers. So when you add customers in, I'm going to start logging in here in just a second so you guys can see that. Being able to search for customers, being able to add them into, the transactions and putting everything together makes it great. Inventory management, it helps keep track of all of our inventory, everything we receive. Makes it very fluid. And then they have what they call their smart flow system. So if you want to set up things such as like sending brides emails for, reviews, or setting them up for task reminders in case they didn't buy, that is a very solid way to be able to keep up with your business without having to always be the one that keeps it on a ledger to go back to later. The system will do a lot of that stuff for you. And then it does play a really nice with things like QuickBooks, which is what we have, and then also Twilio messaging, which we use. But if you have also things like Charge It Pro or MailChimp or Google Calendars, all of that stuff works really well together. Now, before we log in here, I'm just going to show you guys the pricing on here if you haven't seen it already from their website. But they do have a couple different plans. They have the basic, standard plus, and then the elite. I think I actually have a little marker here that is tied up with this color. Yeah. So basic plan has a couple different features. It goes for $100 a month. Standard plan, I think, is what most people end up going with for majority. That one is $125 a month. That's the one that we personally have. Then there is the Standard Plus, which is $200 a month, and then there's the Elite at $250 per month, plus $100 for every additional store. So if you have multiple stores, that's going to be the one you want to go with. Now, as I mentioned, we have the standard plan. This allows up to 10 users, which is important if you have a couple of different stylists on your staff. That's going to be really nice. This also allows you to do what they call the smart booking. So on the basic plan, you could do the scheduling, but the smart booking is what allows you to be able to make sure that you're not double booking whatsoever. It also has a digital signatures for when brides are picking up their dresses, which is always nice to have on file. Web forms if they want to fill out a bunch of information for their appointments, so that way you have more information. I think this right here, the 125, is honestly my preference. We actually started out with the Standard Plus, which had everything that the regular plan had, but it also allowed us to do a card on file to be able to charge for appointments, which we tested out and didn't end up really using. And then it also had the unlimited users, which we don't even have that many employees, so we didn't even have up to 10 at that point, so we didn't need to use it. So luckily, where they say here, it says no fees to cancel, upgrade and downgrade anytime. This is very true. I actually switched us from the standard plus down to the standard to save that, $74 every month, because we didn't need those additional features, which is okay. And that helped, cut back a little expense that we didn't actually have to have. And honestly, for $125, this is probably the best software we've ever used for our business. And we've been running our shop for going on 3 years at this point too. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log in, but I have to, of course, make sure that we block off some personal information. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So this is the homepage here for us when it comes to BridalLive. This is after hours. Right now I'm recording this around like 7, 8 o'clock at night. So first and foremost, you're going to typically see your appointments you have for the day. You're going to see all the tasks that are needed to be followed up on. So we're gotta have to do that. Then you can also see your attention for your items that you need here at the top right. Any notes for the day, so you can actually leave notes for anybody that's working that day, and you can go in advance as well, so you can leave early notes for different employees to do different things. You have your sales performance as well. So on the left hand side here, you're going to see contacts, where you can add a contact, you can search, you can register the contact via portal, which we don't have. That's the higher plans, so brides can see all that. Then you have your activities, where you can add an appointment, you can see the appointments, you can search for them. You could also add tasks, which allow you to potentially call back old past brides that maybe had some favorites but didn't end up buying. Then you also have your inventory, where you can add inventory, you can search for it, and then you can also add vendors, add departments. Right here for the point of sale, you can create your sale, you can have a special order. So sale, of course, is if it's off the rack or something that the person's taking home with them. Special order is something where you're placing an order for something to come in at a later time. Then if you do layaways, or if you have to create a return at your store. Then there's the purchasing right here. You can do purchase orders directly on BridalLive with a lot of the merchants. If you just do it directly with them through either email or on their portals, that's fine too. There's a place where you can plug in all your information, so that way you have it together. And then the marketplace, you can see all the different vendors that have a lot of their products available through BridalLive, so you don't have to plug in all the information yourself, such as the photos, the different features of a lot of the dresses. It makes it really nice to be able to just pull it from this marketplace to be able to do all of that together. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our calendar. So what I'm going to do is I like to look at our calendar on a weekly view so we can see how everything is going. So I'm going to click on that. So here, this was the week of Christmas that I'm filming. So right here, you can see we're closed for a couple of days. So we had appointments on Sunday, and then we had appointments Friday. And then as of, filming this, we had quite a few appointments on Saturday as well, which was nice for closing off the year. So this is what the calendar looks like. You can switch it to a day view or a month view. As I mentioned, because of our plan, we have what they call the smart booking. So up here, we can click right there and then type in the type of appointment, which you can put in the settings to have alterations, bridal appointments, brides on a budget, which is a special type of appointment. We have bridesmaids appointments, other pickups, and then second fittings, and then whatever day you pick. So let's go ahead and say we do bridal appointment. So let's go ahead and say that we put the date as Monday, December 30th. So here it's going to show you all the times and the rooms that are currently available for you that day. So we have the bridesmaid room, the bride's room 1 and 2, both available at 10, also 11:30, 1:30, and 3 o'clock. So all of those are going to be available for people to book. If you're here in the shop with this service, you can actually just click on book appointment, which will then pop up this information for you to be able to plug in for the bride. So their first name, last name, their phone number, their email address, event date, how they heard of you, which is always important to know, and then their appointment type. If they needed to change it while you had this open, you can actually click here and still change the date. You could also even change the time. The nice thing is you could also set it up so if you put 11:30, for example, it'll automatically give us, for our store, the 90 minutes that we associate for every appointment. You could also change the fitting room if you wanted. If you leave it unassigned, people can also book as well, so be cautious with that. And the associate that will be working with them, you can leave it unassigned until the day of, so that way you can have those different employees. The colors kind of help determine the different employees that are available to be able to go on and work that day. Now, when you click on the employee, it'll also automatically change the color because we have that setting, which is nice. And then the appointment notes here, this is nice because if a bride has special needs or has something that can work in the benefit of another employee knowing ahead of time, you can put all that information here. It's not seen by anybody else but the stylist. So here you can put notes where, if the bride is having certain requests, if she has certain things that she's looking for, maybe she had certain dresses that she saw on your website or your, social media that she wants to look at, you guys can put those notes here. But as I mentioned, nobody's going to see that except for the stylist. So we're going to go ahead and close that off. And from here, you can also, as I mentioned, you can search for contacts. So here you're going to be able to plug in the first name, or you can plug in the last name. As you start typing in letters, it starts condensing the list shorter and shorter, so that way it can be found for the person that you're looking for. You can also search by the associate that worked with them, which is really nice. The category, whether they're active or inactive. And then if we go here to activities, so with activities, there's nothing you can do with clicking on it. It's just adding the appointments or looking at the appointments. But what we were doing earlier, that is also adding the appointment. So inventory here, we can go ahead and actually search for inventory. So same thing with like looking for a person. If you start typing in certain words, it'll start breaking down to only the items that fit that description. So if you're looking for certain types of dress that starts with an M, it's all of a sudden going to start cutting down things with only the letter M's in them. And as you continue to type in more letters, it will go ahead and condense everything down to what you actually have available. And then it'll give you like the in stock, the quantity on hand, the price, the order cost that you will all place in here. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And you can have it all readily available. Now, the nice thing is, depending on the person who's logging in, there's also for like the regular stylist or senior stylist that can have access to different pieces of information. So even though it is blurred out here for the order cost, we can actually see it because we're administrators, but our regular stylists can't actually see the order cost of these items. So they can only see the price that we sell them for, just not the actual order cost. So that's a really nice thing to be able to, make sure that you can still let the stylist know how much the item is available for, the price that the customer would be paying, but not the cost that you are actually paying to be able to attain that item. So it keeps things separated. And if you go into the settings menu, there's a lot of different things that you can do, which I will actually go ahead and show you right now. So in the settings menu, we can go to users and security, and then we go to user roles. And then here we have underneath a bridal stylist, we can hit edit. And then it allows us to go through and choose all the things that we want to give them access to. So depending on your level of trust, you can give them access to a little or a lot. For us, we chose, of course, with a bridal stylist. They have the least amount of visibility on the BridalLive. Senior stylists get more, and then our administrators get the most. So there's a lot of different levels that people can have on BridalLive, so that way they have access or control to change things as they need based off their roles in the company. Now, there's a lot of other settings on here as well. You can go in here and you can change preferences. You can add categories. You can add how they heard you. You can also change up the fitting rooms, so you can have different types of fitting rooms. You can have them available to book online or not. So it's very intuitive as far as going through the process. It's not going to be day one you understand everything, but for the most part, it didn't take us very long to have a good flow. And every single stylist that we've ever brought on picked up very quickly because they just make it very simple and basic on how to go through the process. Point of sale here, you can look at preferences. You can create your sales agreements if you wanted to do it all digital, payment methods, tax codes, commission if you want to pay that, registers, and then inventory, all the different preferences you could do there. Same thing with purchasing, messaging, like I mentioned. They have Twilio that you can work with. They have email settings that they send the emails out, which is really nice. They have integration with all those different companies we talked about earlier. The Smart Flows process, which you can set up right over here, which is really nice. There's a lot of different processes that you can create. You can build up your own Smart Flows, which essentially is saying if one thing happens, the next thing is going to get triggered and or potentially get triggered. So as an example, if a bride with us says yes to the dress, she is of course going to be converted from a non-purchase bride to a purchase bride, as well as get a text message for leaving a review with us, because that's really important, versus somebody who doesn't say yes to the dress will actually get a text message to give us direct feedback on what we can potentially do for a future visit with us. And so we have different ways to interact with our brides depending on what they do and how our stylists interact with these smart flow processes. So smart flows is a really powerful tool for you to be able to kind of make sure you guide your stylist through the process of, if this happens, this is what's going to be next. And then they have the marketplace settings where you can go ahead and add categories and change things up. And then you got your web form, which is the ability to let people book online. And so there's all the different setups that you can do there, which is, again, really, really nice. So that was all the settings. Then we have the reports, which is really detailed information here too. So I can't really go into this too far, but we do have like associate reports, so you can see timestamps. So if you're doing payrolls with employees, you can go through here and see when they clocked in and when they clocked out. You have the ability to see sales per hour for all the employees, so you can see who is doing really well for every hour that they're at the store with you. You can see your closing rates based off of your appointments. You have commissions. If you're paying out commissions, you can see all the items that they're selling and what the percentage is based off of what you set them as. You could do contact reports as well. You could do activity reports. Of course, a really important one is the inventory reports. You can see what you have on hand, what's awaiting pickup. Sales report, so you can see your tax report and journal, the transaction journal, all these different setups that you can do and be able to check on, see how everything's doing. My wife, one of her favorite things is sales by size, so that way when she goes to market, she can understand, okay, what is it that we need to order in what size, because based off of our averages, most brides are ordering in certain sizes. So we actually utilize this information for future purchases that we're doing for the company, because if we're having tons of brides buying in a size 12, there's less reason for us to want to keep buying size 8 samples, because it shows that our average is 12. So we utilize these tools in many different ways, especially when it comes to making sure that we're as efficient as possible. We have purchasing reports and then audit logs, so that way we can see all the emails and text messages that we're sending to brides. And then back up here, we're going to look at our point of sale. So we have the ability to create a sale or create a special order. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the special order. So this one right over here is going to have the option right here to plug in the person's name. It goes by last name, so that way you can search for it, and then it'll plug all their information in from when they set up their appointments. Then you have the search by item, where you would plug in all the items that you are adding to the transaction. Then here it does all the math for you when it comes to the subtotal, the total with tax, and then the amount due. So if you're splitting the transaction up, so if they're paying 40% now or 60% now and then the rest later, it'll have that all broken down for them. It'll show how much they owe in taxes down here, and then in this notes section, this they can actually see. So we personally like to put a thank you note for them coming in, so that way when they receive this invoice, it'll have a nice cute little note, and then it'll have all the breakdown of what they're buying, how much it all costs, the color, the size of the the dress, and then what is owed left at the bottom. So this is a really nice system. And here's the best part about it is once you plug everything in, you can go ahead and make sure that you start your smart flow process. Like we talked about earlier, the smart flows is, so once you start this special order, what is it that you have to do next? So it'll give you the opportunity to send the receipt through email so you don't forget about it. With us, we also have it where we make sure that we send them another little text saying thank you for coming in, and then we also make sure that we go through the process of actually ordering that dress. So we have a lot of different setups on there. Of course, once you go through and actually purchase the software, they do have like tutorials that you can go through and understand detail by detail on how to go through this process. And if that's something maybe other people want to see, you guys can leave me a comment down below, and I'll go ahead and maybe do like a full breakdown of how to actually go ahead and place the special orders and have everything set up that way. So from there, you can do a sale. Go ahead and delete that. So we can do a sale very similar to the special order, but this one is just something that you sell and then they walk away with, so it's a quick checkout. And then they have the purchase orders. So these are with a company that you're ordering items from. You can go ahead and plug in all that information. So if you are buying from their portal, you can plug all like the submission date, the estimated date of arrival, the confirmation number, and then you can search for the item and add it in. So that way you know that it's coming in. Somebody can check and verify that, yes, you ordered it, and it will be coming in for the customer. So like this right here, we switch it to customer order, and then that way it'll come in on time, making sure that the bride is going to be able to get her dress. Now, if we go to the marketplace, we're going to go ahead and load up right over here. So we're going to actually go ahead and search. So this is like some of the different designers that, so this shows the different designers we have. If we go to search marketplace, we can just type in vendor's name, and then they can pop up. If they're available on here, they make your life 1,000 times better, because that makes it so much easier for you to have all your stats and information plugged in to your actual item inventory, which I'll go into one of them now so you guys can get a good idea. But having the companies on here makes things a lot easier for you. So if we go into inventory, so here I'm on the inventory page. Of course, I have certain things blocked off, but this is dress main here. We have, of course, the name, the department, the vendor, the color, size, the tax code, which is retail, of course, the retail price, the quantity on hand that we have, and the fact that there's a sample. And then we have it as active because it's not discontinued. And then the order cost, the inventory cost, which typically are going to be the same thing, but some designers give you a difference between how much it costs for you to buy it as an inventory item, and then sometimes they'll have it different for ordering. Now, it also gives you the notes because this company had it available for us to get from the marketplace. So all the notes there were all set up for us, makes it really easy, gives us all the categories like cap sleeves, off the shoulder, strapless. It has sweetheart, A-line, beaded, lace, and tulle. So we didn't have to sit here and do all the work for it. It did it pretty much ready for us, so that way it was easy to go with, and we didn't have to struggle to figure out all the different details of this one dress. Now, the nice thing is we can also see the sales history for this dress, as well as the receiving. So this is everything that we've gotten in the store from this dress. And then the sales history is every single transaction that has this dress on there. So we can see, well, how often is this dress being sold? Is it worth keeping in the store past, a certain time period, or do we move it into like our off the rack? So we had to make those decisions, but this tool gives us the opportunity to go through and look and see if it's worth it for us on that. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have the link in the show notes down below if you want to go ahead and sign up with BridalLive. That link will give you and I both $125 credit, so that way we actually both get the standard plan 1 month entirely for free. I think it's going to really benefit people when it comes to actually utilizing the software. I think it does fantastic, and it's one of the best ones I've ever used when it comes to managing a bridal store. Now, if you want to learn about some other tools that we use for our business, check out this video right over here so you can keep on learning more ways to improve your business and be more efficient with your time and energy. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.